Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're doing really well today. Now, I am aware that Yellow Group also watches our Letterland lessons. However, although they are welcome to watch today's one, the main focus of it will be for the grade R's to help them practice the long E sound and identify when the long E sound would be made in a word. And to help us learn all about that, we're going to talk a little bit about our vowel man, Mr. E. Now, if the grade R's were paying close attention when I was teaching you all about Eddie elephants, I asked you if any of you had an elephant for a pet, and I'm pretty sure that the answer is no. If it was a yes, I would be really worried. Now, Mr. E, he is our vowel man, and Eddie elephant is his pet. Oh my word, how lucky is Mr. E? Mr. E is so happy to have Eddie elephant as his pet. But did you know that Eddie elephant is just as happy to have Mr. E as his owner? And this is because Mr. E can do lots and lots of magic tricks. Magic. So, magic tricks that would seem hard for you or for me, Mr. E does them so easily. Oh my word. And this is why all the people in Letterland call him Mr. E, the easy magic man. Ha! Did you hear his E sound in the word easy? I know I sure did. Now, if you were paying close attention over our last few lessons where we learnt about the other vowel men, like we learnt about Mr. A, the apron man, Mr. I, the ice cream man, and Mr. O, the old man, we learned that they share the same letter formation. Those long vowel sounds share the same letter formation as the short vowel sounds, so the A and the A, they can both be written the same with the capital and the lowercase letter. The E and the I, they are also both written the same with the lowercase and capital letter, and the O and the O, they are also written the same with the uppercase and lowercase letter. And where they are in a word depends on the sound that they would make, whether they would carry the short A or the long A, the short E or the long I, the short O or the long O. Now, it's important to know that Eddie elephant and Mr. E, they also share the same letter shape or letter formation. So, that is a very interesting fact to know. Now, I've just told you about that interesting fact that Mr. E and Eddie elephants share the same letter shape or letter formation. But it's important to remember that when Mr. E appears in the word, he's going to make his long vowel sound and he's going to say E in the words. What's also important to know is that Mr. E has 5 short words where he would make his E sound. And we're going to look at those 5 short words that are common for having Mr. E's long E sound. I'm going to put up an image onto the screen and we can talk a little bit about those words together. Alright, now on the screen in front of you, on the one side of the page, we're going to have a picture of Mr. E, our easy magic man, and I want you to take a nice close look at him and what he is wearing, and look at his letter. You remember how I just told you that he shares the same letter shape with Eddie elephant? There you go. Now, these 5 words that are most common for having his sound, the 5 short words, we are going to practice sounding them out. And even after the lesson, I want you to practice these words every day because they are very common for having his long E sound in them. So if we look at the other side of the screen, we have a piece of paper, and on the piece of paper, the first word we have right at the top starts with the H for Harry Hackman. If we sound out this word, it will not have an I sound, it will have a long E sound. So let's try sound it out, knowing that where we see that letter, we will pronounce a long E sound. We have H-E, H-E, he. He is a boy, and that is how we would write the word he. The next word on our paper is the word E. me. And that blended together sounds like me. Me. That toy that you are holding belongs to me. And that is how we would use the word me in a sentence. Let's look at the third word and see if we can sound out the third word. The third word on our paper is be. Be. And that blended together is be. It would be lovely if we could go back to school. Be. The fourth word on our paper starts with what for Walt's walrus, and next to it is an E. So let's try sound that out together. What E? What E? We. We can't wait to get back to school and teach you. We, that is the word we, meaning all of us teachers. We miss you. The fifth and final word has a S and a H, which we are going to learn more about later, but put together that is our sh sound, sh sound. And next to it is an E, so we will say sh-e. She is a lovely girl. She is a lovely girl. Alright, so those are our 5 most common words that would have Mr. E, the Easy Magic Man's E sound in them. Well done, boys and girls. So that was just a bit of practice for when Mr. E shows his own letter and makes his own E sound in a word. But did you know that sometimes he gets another letter to also help him make his long E sound in a word? And an example of this would be when he gets yellow Yoyo Man to help him make a long E sound. So to help us learn about that, I'm going to put another image on the screen, and we're going to look at the picture of yellow Yoyo Man, notice what's in his yo-yo sack, and practice some words thereafter. Now, on the screen, appearing in front of you, there will be a picture and some words. Let's listen to the story that follows. One day, Mr. E discovered that he had used up too many of his E's, making silent magic E's. He was upset. "Oh no," he cried. "I totally forgot that in many words, people don't want an E to be silent at the end." But there was no way he could change his silent magic E's back. But what could he do? He was terribly upset until he saw Yellow Yoyo Man. "Help! Yellow Yoyo Man, can you say E for me?" He called out desperately. "I don't know," said Yellow Yoyo Man slowly. He put down his yo-yos and took a deep breath. And then Yellow Yoyo Man said E quite easily. Mr. E was so pleased. Immediately, he gave Yellow Yoyo Man the job of saying E for him in nearly every word which sounds like it ends in E. So now, Yellow Yoyo Man works very hard for Mr. E. Mr. E has even given him a tiny little E to carry with him to show everybody how many words he finishes. Wow, don't you think that it is so kind of Yellow Yoyo Man to help Mr. E make his long E sound at the end of some words? Can you see the letter E in his sack? Now we have looked at the picture of Yellow Yoyo Man while we listen to the story of how he helps Mr. E make his E sound in words. On the other side of the screen, we are going to look at some examples where Yellow Yoyo Man is making the long E sound in words. So we have 4 words on the piece of paper on the side of the screen. And the first word is baby. Baby. It has a y at the end, but remember that Yellow Yoyo Man is helping to make the long E sound. So when we pronounce this word, we will hear the long E sound. Baby, baby. It has the long E sound. The next word is funny, funny. That is so funny. And it also has the long E sound that Yellow Yo-Yo Man is helping Mr. E to make. The third word is happy, happy. And the fourth word is lucky, lucky. So now we know Yellow Yo-Yo Man at the end of a word can help Mr. E make that long E sound. Alright, so over the past few lessons we've spoken a little bit about our vowels. We've learned how the Letterlanders carry the short vowel sound, and that is A and E and I and A and A, and how the vowel men carry the long vowel sound, so the A, E, I, O and U. And we've had a lot of practice with sounding out words with the vowels in them. But what happens when we are trying to sound out a word and two vowels are standing next to each other? What do we do then, and how do we sound it out? So when we see two vowel men out walking in Letterland and we want to figure out what sound it's going to make, we need to remember a really simple rhyme, and I'm going to help you learn this rhyme. This rhyme teaches us that when two vowel men go out walking, the first one does the talking. The first one says his name, but his friend, the second one, he won't do the same. And this is because the second one is busy being the lookout guy, and he is looking for robots who cause trouble by capturing vowel men as they walk through Letterland. Now, there is another way we will learn how Mr. E makes his long E sound. Let's look at the image that is going to appear on the screen shortly and learn about these two vowel men that are walking and how they make the long E sound. So, on the screen in front of us, we have Mr. E and Mr. A, and they are out walking in Letterland. Mr. E usually does the talking. Remember, the first vowel man does the talking and the second one stays quiet. Mr. E just says his name E, but his friend won't say his name. He's too busy looking out for robots. In our picture, today Mr. E and Mr. A are out walking in the market. They each have a list of things to buy to eat. Can you find them some meat and some seafood? They would also like heaps of fruit and vegetables. Can you find them some peaches, some beans and some peas? Mr. E would like some tea and some yeast because he can't resist a cheap deal. He has also seen some expensive gleaming beads, but luckily they are not within easy reach. Mr. A is pleased as he has spotted a neat pile of jeans by the heap of leaves, and Mr. E is beaming as he dreams about the feast they will eat when they get home. What a treat! Now, lots and lots of words in this story I just read to you have the E sound. And they have the E sound when Mr. E and Mr. A go out walking, but Mr. A is quiet, so Mr. E is doing the talking. And now if we look at the page on the side of our screen, we will be able to see that there are a few words on that piece of paper. And on that piece of paper where we have the words, we will see that Mr. E and Mr. A are next to each other in a word. Can you see that? Now if we look at those words, the first word we see starts with a T for talking test, and that word is T, T-E. And the reason we're calling it T-E-T is because when we sound out the two vowels together, we're only making Mr. E's sound over there. We're not making Mr. A sound. Remember, he is on the lookout for robots that are coming through Letterland to steal all the vowels. So he's quiet and we're only making the long E sound whenever we see Mr. E and Mr. A together. And the second word is eat. Eat. I would like to eat some food. And again, we're only saying the long E sound. We're not making Mr. A's sound. Eat. The third word is meat, like meat we eat. Meat. Eat. Meat. The fourth word is see. E. And it has Mr. E, the easy magic man, and Mr. A, the April man next to him. But remember, we're not making Mr. A's sound. We're just saying the long E sound, C. And the final word is beach. 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 Wouldn't it be lovely to go to the beach? So when we see Mr. E and Mr. A in a word together, we need to make sure we remember that when two vowels go out walking, the first one does the talking. His friend doesn't do the same because he is on the lookout for the robots. So after the lesson, you can ask Mommy and Daddy to write you lots of other words that make the long E sound by having Mr. E and Mr. A together in a word. Well done, boys and girls. I hope you are still able to pay close attention to what I'm trying to explain to you. And I know it can be a little bit confusing right now, but with lots of practice, you will get it. Now, there are another two vowel men that are going out walking in Letterland, and I have a special story to read about them. When the image appears on the screen, you will see that it is Mr. E, the easy magic man, and his twin. Oh my word! Which means he's going to have the E sound next to him. But we've learned when we learn all about Dippy Duck and Diana Duck that when there's a D and a D next to each other, they share the same sound and they say D once. They don't say D, D. Or the word egg. When we look at the word egg with Golden Girl and Golden Granny, they say egg. They share the same G sound. They don't say egg, G. That would be quite strange. So now we've learned that when two vowels go out walking, the first one does the talking. But we also know that when we see two of the same letters, they share the same sound. That's going to be a clue for helping you with when we see these two vowels in a word. Alright, so I'm going to put the image up on the screen and we can enjoy our story learning about Mr. E and his twin. When two Mr. E's go out walking, the first Mr. E does the talking. He just says his name, E. But his brother won't do the same. He's too busy looking out for robots. Mr. E and his brother are out for a quick walk. It's freezing cold, so they need to keep their feet moving. Behind them, a man is trying to sweep up the sleet and the snow, but it is just too deep and the breeze makes it difficult for him to see. It's so icy. The Queen is exceeding the speed limit coming down the slippery, steep street in her Jeep. She likes to come for coffee meetings here once a week. She's also often seen in the shops sampling fine cheeses and buying sweets. She loves toffee, but she's never greedy, and afterwards she always brushes her teeth. The geese look happy feeding on seeds. They don't seem to mind having freezing feet. So I hope as I read the story, you look at the picture and look for the things that I'm describing to you. As I read the story, you will begin to see those things happening in the picture. Now, on the paper side of our image on the screen, we have some words that use Mr. E and his twin brother together in a word. And we're going to practice sounding those out, knowing that we only say the E sound once, not twice. So if we look at the words, the first of the 5 words we have on the piece of paper is week. 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 What a long week it has been. It has Mr. E and his twin, but we're only making the E sound once, because when two vowels go out walking, the first one does the talking. The second word is deep, deep, deep. I hope the pool water is not too deep. And the third word is feet, feet. Did you clean your feet before you came into your house? The fourth word is eat, meet, eat. I can't wait to meet you back at school. That also has the long E sound, eat. And the final word is E, but not the C where we would go to sit on the sand and watch the waves go by. It is C as in I see you. I see you with my eyes. Alright, so this lesson was just to show you the different ways that Mr. E, the Easy Magic Man, can do magic and make his long E sound. Now we learned that he can make his long E sound by himself, or he gets Yellow Yo-Yo Man to do it for him at the end of a word, make his Y sound like an E instead. Or when Mr. E and Mr. A are out walking in a word, so Mr. E and Mr. A are out walking in a word, they only make the long E sound because the first vowel does the talking. And the last way we learned how he makes his long E sound is when Mr. E and his twin brother are out in a word and only the first vowel makes his sound. So it's important that you ask mommy and daddy to write you other words that use these examples, and you keep practicing how to make the long E sound in words. I really hope you enjoyed all the stories in our lesson and that you keep practicing, boys and girls. I'm so proud of you. Have a lovely day. Bye.